deep dive. Early money on the tournament. Let's start with USC. Pick them up to 1 against Providence. A rematch from last year. They're playing the revenge angle, Teddy.
Yeah, I don't know if they're playing the revenge angle or the fact that they think USC's better this time around, which they probably are compared to a season ago. That being said, Ed Cooley, you remember the game last year? Providence kind of stole it at the end. And Ed Cooley's teams, they find a way to do that more often than your average team. That USC money, not coming out of my pocket, let's put it that way.
All right, this surprised me. A little Wisconsin money against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Badgers opened 4.5, 5. Now we're looking at 5.5 and 6 against the Hokies. And again, we're talking about 8, 9 seeds. This is not normal. This is not your average 8, 9 seed type of point spread. But the Badgers, after that impressive run through the Big Ten tourney, and remember, they took money, as we talked about earlier in the show, in the Big Ten championship game. The markets viewing Wisconsin as a team that has regained their mojo after a late season slump. Hence, the Badgers money in this one.
I agree with this. Princeton money bet down from 7.5 to 6.5 against Notre Dame. And Princeton, hell of a team. They got bigs. Strange for an Ivy League team, but they have bigs. They can shoot the 3. And their guard shoots 90% from the free throw line.
Yeah, and the broader market's still at Princeton plus 7 as we record this. So the 6.5s are really starting to pop up at the leading indicator books against Notre Dame. And of course, there's some anti-fighting Irish in this money as well. Notre Dame, the type of team that bettors seem to like as a dog, not so much as a favorite.
This will be an interesting game. Should be crazy, up-tempo, Gulf Coast against Florida State in Orlando. And they're taking Gulf Coast early.
Yeah, a little bit. Plus 12 down to plus 11.5. You know, some books hoping Florida State as high as 14. And they got popped right away with Gulf Coast money. But this will be fun down in Florida as well. So there'll be a vocal crowd. And what has the potential to be a real track meet. I'm interested to see the total on this game.
Yes, I like this move too. Vermont plus 9 down to 8 against Purdue. I don't want Matt Painter in a big game. Remember they lost last year to Little Rock in the first round. Vermont, the longest winning streak in the country.
Yeah, and of course you were talking about the trend that favors Vermont and Princeton, not only to cover the point spread, but to actually win that game in straight-up fashion. If you missed the trend, check it out from earlier in the show.
I don't agree with this move. Michigan bet up from 1 to 2 against Okie State. I think these teams that have a big run in the conference tournament, fade material.
Sure, the Wolverines are your classic team that did it all last weekend and may have shot their wad heading into the big dance. And Okie State, a team that didn't do anything last weekend, but a team that's supremely talented. That being said, Bayline's endgame, yeah, I can understand why the money came on Michigan. The markets are aware that teams like Michigan don't tend to do particularly well opening weekend. But when you talk about an endgame coach, Bayline's really good, and he showed it again this past weekend. It's hard to bet against Michigan in this type of point spread range as much as you want to bet against Michigan.
They're betting Larinaga going against Izzo in March. Going against Izzo. Miami money, bet up from 1 to 2 against Sparty, and a little Dayton money against Wichita.
Yeah, we're seeing disrespect, even though Wichita, as the 10 seed, opened as 6.5 point favorites against the 7 seed Dayton. We're showing market disrespect for Wichita. There was a big move, a broad move across the market towards the Flyers. Dayton bet to 6. And, you know, I mean, Sparty is what they are. We've seen them enough this year to know when you have that many losses for a Michigan State team, when you get bounced in the Big Ten tournament the way they did, not a lot of respect right now in the markets for an Izzo coach. Well, whatever. As a conference, the Big Ten hasn't won a title in, 15, 16 years. It's not like it's a conference that, of the 5 power conferences, the market's telling us very clearly the Big Ten's the worst of the 5.
All right, I'll call this a Dan Dockett special. He was on ESPN last night. He thinks UCLA destroys Kent State. Little UCLA money.
And I personally agree with that move wholeheartedly. It is a tough matchup for Kent, and UCLA has the potential to put the biscuit in the basket the way few teams can. UCLA minus 17 to minus 18. I do expect that line will go higher.
All right, very good last week. Some interesting stuff. We said Kentucky would win the SEC. We said Villanova would win the Big East. Wrong about Duke. Way off on Duke, but and Teddy's call on Michigan too. So excellent job last week with the conference tournament. Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.